Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So there's this whole situation unfolding on Asian TikTok right now, a topic people have been we've been talking about for years, but suddenly it's trending out in the open, and it's all centered around this idea of worshipping whiteness. Now, I'm not saying literal worship, but we all know the behavior. The way some Asian folks switch up the way they move when a white person walks into a room compared to how they treat black people. It's nothing new, and it's definitely not surprising. And no, we are not hurt, okay? We're not crying about it. Trust me, we do not care. But I digress. What's wild is that the conversation has finally cracked open, and not because black people brought it up this time. It's Asians themselves stepping forward, openly admitting this obsession, this craving for proximity to whiteness, and explaining why. And listen, it is satisfying to watch these conversations, the confessions roll, especially after years of being dismissed, because when black folks try to point this out respectfully, were called every name in the book. They denied it, deflected it, and gaslighted us, everything except simply acknowledging the truth. But now the truth is coming out from their own mouths, and honestly, I'm just sitting here with my popcorn watching it unfold. I don't want to spoil the fun for you guys, so let's just jump into these videos and see exactly what people are saying. Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below, because I will definitely come back at the end of this video to give my own final 2 cents. Let's watch this.
I have no doubt that Danish deception guy can scam more money in China, and apparently he did have victims in Shanghai, because you'll be shocked to find out how many Chinese people worship whiteness, specifically putting mediocre white men on pedestal. I'm saying this because I used to be one of them. Okay, this is so embarrassing to admit. Beyonce, please forgive my sin. But looking back, aside of my people-pleasing and savior complex, being seen with a white man really did make me special in the way that I probably wouldn't feel if I'm with an Indian, Asian, black, or any other man of color. And I think this is connected to the message we received as we grew up. Back then, all the leaders of all industries are white people, and all the Hollywood movies, TV shows we watched are filled with white faces. So without even realizing it, a sense of white supremacy is already subtly ingrained in our heads. And you can see this effect in the East Asian beauty standards. All the girls like high nose, double eyelids, and really white skin. And it makes me wonder if the media we consumed as kids told us that Indian girls are the standard of beauty, would there still be so many girls who would go extreme to harm their bodies to white their skin? Another really sad thing to see is that in China 2025, you can still get colonial treatment. Like if you walk into a bar or restaurant where there are a lot of Westerners, you will notice how better they treat white people than they treat Chinese people. In Chinese, we call this type of people 香蕉人, banana people. You're yellow on the outside, but you're white inside. Mentally, spiritually, you so want to be white. But as they say, you live and you learn. I really hope more Chinese people and other Asian people, let's stop putting mediocre white men on pedestals.
Why are Asian people and communities more accepting of marriages with white women and men rather than black women and men? This is one concept that has never made sense to me, and is South Asian and East Asian. But if a black woman even has a good job, a steady income, everything, her life is set, it will still be hard for her to be accepted by an Asian family. Whereas a white woman could be an absolute hippie, but it's easier for her to be accepted into an Asian family during marriage. So yeah, if there's anyone out there who can explain sort of why Asian communities are more accepting of their own culture marrying white people rather than black people, let me know.
There's a long and extensive history of European colonization in Asia. The British colonized India and made repeated attempts to colonize China during the 1800s. That's why the British occupied Hong Kong until the 1990s. Southeast Asia, from India to China, was known as French Indochina because of French colonization. The Dutch colonized Taiwan, the Portuguese occupied Macau, and the French occupied Shanghai. When the transatlantic slave trade was banned, there were British and American merchants who tried to recreate it on the Pacific Ocean with enslaved Chinese men in a practice known as selling little pigs, and that's where the term to be shanghaied comes from. And of course, there was all of the US military action in Korea and Southeast Asia during the 1900s. So there has been a lot of Western influence and interference in Asia. A specific problem faced by Asian Americans is the problem of the perpetual foreigner. It doesn't matter how long we've been here, it doesn't matter how many generations our families have been in the United States, it doesn't matter how loyal we've been to the United States. Just because of how we look, we are judged as not being from here, not belonging here, and being inherently suspicious. And that creates a powerful pressure to assimilate, especially when our safety can rely on how well we have assimilated. During the McCarthy era, which is when my mom came to the United States, there were Chinese Americans who had just seen Japanese Americans put in internment camps during World War II, who whitewashed themselves and became white-aligned, patriotic, flag-waving Americans just to stay safe. There are a lot of us whose parents whitewashed us in order to keep us safe. When my older brother started school, my parents enrolled him with his Chinese name because they wanted to be proud of that, and he was bullied and he was beaten up for it. Even years after they switched to his Western name, students who remembered his Chinese name continued to bully and beat him up for it. So 7 years later, when I started school, my parents enrolled me in school using my Western name, which means that I wasn't bullied and beaten up for having a Chinese name, but it also means that part of my identity has been whitewashed. And that's not the same thing as being obsessed with white culture or seeking validation from white people. It is done to keep us safe from anybody who would weaponize our Asianness against us.
Part of the reason why so many Asian kids growing up want to be white is because their parents, comparatively, being sucked to the white ones. Like, when I was growing up, they did not let me have a fucking social life. They stifled that shit as hard as they could. Like, they had so many fucking issues with me going out to hang out with my friends, to the point where it was really hard to do anything outside of school. And it was frustrating because all my white friends, they could just go dilly-dally with each other all fucking day and still get good grades. Oh my god, and God forbid I get an A-. God forbid I get a B+. Otherwise, I'm getting a fucking chew down from them. But no, compared to some of these white guys, yeah, it sucks, but they'll get along fine. They just need a B+. Doesn't matter. It's okay, son. I'm proud of you. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't fucking get that. Yeah, I didn't get that. And guess what? A lot of my other Asian friends, they didn't get that either. Oh, and I'm a man, too. You want to talk about the Asian girls in these families? Well, let me tell you about it.
Aren't gonna like, but there is an expectation that Asian people will pander to white people. It's rooted in xenophobia and the model minority myth. And I'll even take it a step further. The Asian people who are making videos like, oh my gosh, this discourse is so stupid, like, do we not have anything better to talk about, blah, blah, blah. Y'all are also pandering to white people and you don't even realize it. Because let's be so honest here, if the original creator was not a Asian woman talking about an Asian grocery store, but a black person talking about a black beauty supply store or a black owned business, it would have not gotten the same amount of outrage it did. Now, before I get the comments, oh, why do you have to bring black people into this, whatever, I want to have like an actual nuanced discussion on critical race theory, like when it comes to this topic. And it's also because a lot of the white people that were so outraged by this discourse wouldn't have said shit if this was about a black creator, and I'm going to tell you why. If we look back at history, a lot of black American culture was born essentially because white people stripped black people of their ethnic culture, heritage, and roots. As a lot of us know, a lot of black Americans don't even know where their African ancestors are exactly from because their history was erased and destroyed through slavery. And a lot of black American culture was created in spite of white people and their perpetuation of racism. So a lot of black Americans created products that were made for them based on their features, and they also cultivated their own culture within the context of the United States and kept it alive despite systemic racism that they constantly faced. So if black people see a white person come into their space that was created in spite of them, obviously there are going to be side eyes, but the reason why there are side eyes is much more obvious. So if a black creator created a similar video to what Madeline did, the white person saying, oh my gosh, this is racist, this is prejudice, would look much more blatantly racist. And the discrepancy lies in that Asian people came to this country voluntarily. So white people subconsciously hold this like entitled energy against Asian people. It's sort of this sentiment of like, wow, we let you come into our country and now you're gonna gatekeep things from us. Classic model minority myth. I'm gonna give a second to the white people who come across this video and was just rage baited by what I said. They're probably thinking like, oh my god, I wasn't thinking that, you can't speak for white people, bah. But let's be honest, if this discourse was an Asian grocery store, but it was black beauty supply store, would you have felt the same? Think about it. If you think they're the same, you're just racist, like good old American classic. But if you would have reacted differently, you're subconsciously xenophobic. And just to talk more about the other differences, like Asian culture was not created in spite of white people, it was created literally somewhere else. So there's not as strong emotions to try and protect and gatekeep it. Asians and Asian Americans alike, like we love sharing our culture for the most part. That also explains why some Asian Americans felt the need to pander to their white audiences, because there's this subconscious thought that gatekeeping our culture will hurt us in some socioeconomic sense. But when you look at the widespread of Asian culture in the United States, a lot of us have also seen our culture become gentrified, fetishized, appropriated with no respect to the actual culture. Like, let's be so honest here. Like, it wasn't until a couple years ago until white people stopped labeling our food as like disgusting or smelly or exotic. So when it comes to the context of the United States, a lot of Asian Americans have this like conflicted emotion of wanting to share our culture but not wanting it to be disrespected. And you literally see this conflict of emotions happen within Madeline's original video. She literally says in the video, like, I'm still side-eye because I'm a bitch, but please come and still support these businesses. Now, to the white people who thought they did their big one by commenting shit like, oh, I better not see Asians at Trader Joe's after this, or some shit like that. You know, like Trader Joe's, Walmart, like all these like grocery stores, they're not white grocery stores. They're not white establishments. They're American establishments. But the fact that you're conflating white to America, that's racist too. White was never a culture, it will never be a culture, and the fact that so many of you tie your whiteness to your culture is concerning, and that's something you need to think about. Also, to the Asian people who felt the need to make a video about how stupid this discourse is and like we should be having so many better conversations, do that. Start the conversation. Why are you engaging in a discourse that you think is stupid? Like, yeah, I thought this conversation was pretty ridiculous at first too. And then I saw so many other creators making such insightful and nuanced discussions about it, and I continued to listen to them. But if you thought the conversations weren't worth your time and you thought they were stupid and you don't know why people are making videos about it, why did you make a video about it? The thing that y'all don't understand is like going publicly to say that you're shutting down a discourse or dismissing a discourse is engaging in the discourse. For those 5 to 10 minutes you spent on making a video about how stupid you think the H-Mart discourse is, you could have been talking about something that you thought was important and relevant. But you didn't. So what does that say about you?
Dear Asians, I want to talk to you. Let's talk about colorism and white worship. The reason we see the rise of passport bros in recent years is because, well, I'm a traditional woman who will fulfill all my desires, and I like to be worshipped. 'Cause I'm white! Yes, there's colorism in Asia and people don't talk about it as often because they are programmed subconsciously. That white means higher class, high status, because in the past, well, Asians, the royalties, they stay out of the sun while the peasants work in the fields. So yes, white is seen as a status, a trophy. And if you have dark skin, I have bad news for you. Because freaking colorism exists and it has to end. Due to colonialism, plus that historical cultural aspect of Asian, side of the sun, and economical disparity, they are taking advantage of colorism, vulnerable women who are, suffering from poverty, wanting a way out and wanting to snatch a white trophy husband. And then the white guy will be like, they want my money only. Yeah. And you want them to be your little subservient lotus blossom. Do you actually care about their well-being? Do you care about their personality or them as a human being? Shrek's on demand. Look at me. I'm the last samurai, white edition. Who created the racial hierarchy and why are Asians still believing in this shit? To justify colonialism, racial inequalities, systemic racism, to put certain people on top. That is why I challenge your pre-existing beliefs. Asian brothers and sisters, love yourself. Love your tan skin. I love humanity. And that is why I speak out. There is no superiority based on race categories. And it was invented by eugenic white supremacists. So why are you still buying into that? I love you Asian and brothers and sisters, and this programmed self-hate needs to end. You don't need to be white to be beautiful. We are all just wheats in different colors. And we are humanity. But they want to divide us. Divide and conquer, that's their tactics. And I see through it, and now I'm like... And oppression. And subconscious beliefs, because oppression happens when people believe in it. It becomes their reality. And the shit. Stop worshipping white skin. White people are just human beings like us. Are you going to really buy into Nazis' racial theories? Please. And you are enough and lovable by being. Love your skin.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So at this point, after watching all that, let's just sit down and have a real conversation, because what we are witnessing on Asian TikTok right now is not random. It's not accidental, and it's definitely not some innocent misunderstanding. This entire worship for whiteness, and yes, that's exactly what it is at this root comes straight out of racism, colorism, and centuries of conditioning that placed whiteness on a pedestal while pushing everyone else, especially blackness, to the bottom. Any other explanation people try to give is just an excuse, a distraction, or a way to avoid holding themselves accountable. Because, let's tell the truth. None of this behavior exists in a vacuum. You don't just wake up one day and accidentally treat white people better. You don't just magically develop a sober voice, more respect, more excitement, more approval simply because the person in front of you is, white. Those patterns come from somewhere. They come from systems, from history, from the media, from colonization, and from internalized beliefs that have been passed down through families and communities for generations. And it shows up the loudest in how people treat black folks, how quick they are to dismiss us, compete with us, disrespect us, or act like we are beneath them while placing whiteness above everyone. And here's the thing, black people have been, calling this out forever. We've been trying to have this conversation in a respectful, honest way for years, but anytime we brought it up, suddenly we were jealous, imagining things, playing victims, or starting a drama. We were told we were reading too much into it, but now that Asians themselves are confessing it publicly, now suddenly everyone wants to act like, they've always known, Now it's, we didn't realize it, or it's not that deep, or it's just cultural respect. No, let's not sugarcoat things here, okay? It is that deep. This is racism and colorism in their purest forms. It's deeply internalized, belief systems that says whiteness equals safety, whiteness equals opportunity, whiteness equals beauty, whiteness equals status. And on the flip side, darkness, especially blackness, gets associated with danger, disrespect, undesirability, and inferiority. So of course the behavior shows. Of course you see that shift in how people act depending on who's in front of them. Of course you see that selective kindness, that selective politeness, that selective humanity. People don't want to admit it, but it is the truth. And when you bring up colonization, people love to pretend, like it's ancient history. But the ripple effects are still shaping global mindsets today. In many Asian countries, like in many parts of the world, lighter skin has always been tied to privilege, class, and desirability. And European colonization, Western media, and global beauty standards on top of that. And you create generations of people who subconsciously believe whiteness is aspirational. So yes, we are seeing that on TikTok. TikTok is the modern version of a very old mentality. But here's the part that people don't want to talk about. It's not just whiteness they're elevating. It's whiteness over blackness specifically. Because notice how the behavior shifts the moment the person, black instead of white. Notice how suddenly the respect disappears, suddenly the tone changes, suddenly the assumptions, the stereotypes and superiority complexes come out. That's not cultural preference. That's not innocent admiration. That is anti-blackness, pure and simple, period. Point blank, period. And the fact that people are admitting it now openly, publicly, should tell you how deep it runs. And honestly, it is quite refreshing to finally hear it from the people who behave, who have benefited from this. Because for once, we're not being gaslit. For once, we're not being told we're imagining things. They are admitting that, we were right the whole time. But acknowledgement is only the first step. If people are truly ready to address this, they need to look at where these beliefs come from, and how they were passed down and how they show up in real life interactions, not just offline confessions, sorry. Because if we're being honest, these conversations don't end with TikTok trends. They don't end with a few viral videos. This is a mirror being held up to a global issue that affects how communities interact, how friendships and how friendships are formed, how dating works, how jobs are given, how people are treated in public spaces, and how culture reviews one another. It goes beyond individuals. It is a system. So, as we wrap up this video, I want you guys to think about what you have seen and what you have heard. Do you agree with these confessions? Does any of these surprise you, or were you like me, just sitting back like, finally, they're saying it out loud? Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. I really want to hear your take on this, your thoughts on this, because this is just the beginning, and trust me, I have more to say. Yeah, I'll see you in my next video. So guys, stay peaceful, and subscribe to this channel if it's your first time to be on this channel for more videos like this one. I will definitely see you in my next video. Like I said, stay peaceful. Bye.